Hey everybody, welcome to Brainiac Baseball's 1985. We are going to do the National League East Division preview. If you are just finding this video, we've already done the American League East and West in separate videos. And today we will take a look at the National League East, and tomorrow we will preview the National League West. So what we have been doing here in this preview series is taking a look at the transactions in the offseason for after the 84 season. So we completed the 84 season with the Mets beating the Tigers in the World Series. And of course, the Mets being in the American League East will be the last team we look at today. We're going to go in reverse order from the worst to the best. St. Louis was the worst team last year. You can see the stats from last year. Here's the National League averages and then what the teams actually performed. Most of the stadiums in the National League are not conducive to hitting home runs. Really, for the next season, 1985, the best stadium for hitting home runs, maybe not a surprise at all, is the Chicago Cubs Wrigley Field. Wrigley Field is going to be 63% more likely for a left-handed bat to hit a home run and 73% more likely to hit a home run for right-handed bats. So they're going to be flying out of Wrigley just like they do often enough in real life. So that'll be fun to kind of keep an eye on. All right, well, let's go ahead and get this started. We're going to look at the transactions for the St. Louis Cardinals, and then we're going to take a look at the roster and see what new additions or what losses to their roster have taken place in the offseason. So we're going to go to transactions, as it's taking a moment here to consider what I want to do. We are going to select the Cardinals. Now, the Cardinals were at 58 and 104 last year. That seems impossible. This is a team that over the 5 seasons of us playing this sim that have really plummeted from being a contender all the way to losing over 100 ball games. And if I recall correctly, they've traded away most of their good players with a couple of exceptions. So when you look here at the date, everything after the World Series is what we're considering. Ryan Kurosaki retired. We'll take a look at him real quick. We've been playing the sim since 1980. So if you're not familiar with what we're doing here, we began playing the Tiger sim with the 1980 season. So all the stats prior to 1980 were actual real life stats, and everything after is what the game has simmed for them. So for Kurosaki, his last season that he played in was 83. He didn't play at all last year, and now the game has retired him. Contracts that were signed extensions belong to Jeff Lottie, Derek Bryant, Jim Gantner, Jim Lentine, George Frazier, Bob Sykes, and Donnie Moore. Al Olmsted won his arbitration. John Littlefield lost his arbitration. Bill Lyons, their second baseman, won the National League Gold Glove. And Len Matusik, I believe a one-time MVP in our sim, was the one big free agent they signed. He's a first baseman who signed for 4 years, almost $1 million a season. We'll look more into him as soon as we get to the roster. And then in 1985, it says no transactions recorded. We know that's not true. We know the game is glitching. So let's just go ahead and get right to the roster for the St. Louis Cardinals. Okay, we'll go right down the list here. The leadoff hitter. Oh, I'm sorry. We got to fix this. My bad. There's no DH in the National League at this period. Now I think we've got it. Leading off for the Cardinals, and in right field, who was the rookie Kurt Ford. Looks like he's going to get another shot to play that position. And then batting second will be Mark Leonard, another guy who got a late season or quarter of a season opportunity. He's a left fielder. Not, this is a stadium, the Busch Stadium, that is 26% less likely to hit a home run for a left-handed bat and 42% less likely for a right-handed bat. So yeah, this is just not a stadium you're going to hit home runs. There's Willie McGee, probably the veteran of this team. Everyday player for them in center field, great defensively, anywhere you put him. It looks like his stolen base totals have really gone down. That's a little bit of a surprise. But a guy that you can count on to get some hits. And in fact, in our sim, he's batted over 300 three times. So that's about as reliable as this game gets. Now, is this their cleanup hitter, Ray Quinones? I don't think he is actually a home run hitter in real life, but the game seems to think so. He's got an 89 power. I guess when you play in Busch Stadium, it doesn't really much matter who you put in the cleanup role. But Quinones was a rookie last year as well. I mean, the Cardinals have traded away all their players to get these guys called up. Here we go. Here's newly acquired Len Matusik. You can see here that he's been on the Phillies for all 5 seasons that we've simmed. A little bit of a dip in his production. Maybe that's why he didn't get over $1 million. His OPS dropped by over 100 points. Probably not going to see a lot of home runs from him then. We'll look at his transactions. Yeah, he was the National League MVP and a Gold Glove winner and a home run leader and an All-Star. Anyway, that all took place in 1983. You take a look at his 83 season. So he's only 2 years removed from being an MVP. So I don't know. We'll see what he's capable of, but he's going to be their starting first baseman. And looks like he does a little bit of everything well. And then good old reliable catcher Ted Simmons. Looks like he's been platooning at catcher for quite a while now. I wouldn't expect a ton from him, but he's a Hall of Famer. He's a career batting average of over 3,000, and he's got over 300, I should say, and over 2,000 hits. So I'm sure he's got one more go around. And I guess batting ninth is Scott Leyes, another rookie, only 19 years old, playing third base with very little power. Oh, I take it back. There's one more. There's your number 8 hitter, Jim Gantner, second baseman. Must have missed a little bit of time. And he batted .328 last year, not qualifying for the batting title. He batted .335 the year before. Did he win the title? I've already forgotten this. He did not. Well, often injured as well. Okay. So there's the lineup for the Cardinals. You know, with Busch Stadium's stadium effects being so poor, it's hard to predict what a lineup might do in a full season like this. But they have players capable of stealing. They have players capable of getting on base. They have, a former MVP and a Hall of Famer in their lineup. So I wouldn't count them out. But when you have a 300-plus hitter in your number 8 spot, something's not right. You got to find a way to get that guy into the everyday lineup, probably get him at the top of the lineup. Their bench looks like a bunch of leftovers. Here's Donnell Nixon. That's Otis Nixon's brother. Tom Nieto's the backup catcher, probably going to split time 50-50 this year. Jose Uribe, David Green, Bill Lyons, Tito Landrum. And then the bench are players who look like they've been jumped over, like this Derek Bryant. He must have got some considerable at-bats last year. Leon Durham's pretty much toast. You can see what they accomplished in the 84 season over here. So nobody that excites me there in AAA, AA, a lot of the same schlubs. We're going to scroll down and continue admiring scrubs. Now, Shane Mack, in real life, he was a valuable outfielder, and he did get some PT last year. He's got an 81 overall rating, so maybe he can, peak rating, I should say. So maybe he can offer them something in the future. Gerald Young's got an 84. Chris Cron, John Ramos, catcher. Is Ozzie Canseco. Terry Shumpert, that could be a valuable player at second base. Moises Alou and Will Clark. Those are the two batters that probably will help get them out of the out of last place. Will Clark played some last year. He's age 20 now, 2+ years in the minors, and he got 363 at-bats at first base and did not hit a home run. Not a lot of thrill there. He did bat 289, and I don't know if that's because that stadium sucks or the fact that he's got a 68 power. So this guy's not getting any respect in this game. That annoys me, but we've seen it so many times. So that's the offense for the Cardinals. I'd like to think that they're better than they are, but I mean, this could be a last place team. One way we'll know is if we look at the pitching staff. Yeah, there's a lot of leftovers here. Weirdly enough, their ace is a Mexican League pitcher named Hector Eduardo, and this guy has a career of walking more than he strikes out. But when you have 2 17-win seasons, considering you never really got a chance to play in the majors, I mean, I guess that's something. He's under contract through 86, making over $1 million now. So he's the staff ace, rated a 91. That's pretty good. Their second pitcher is good old Danny Cox. He went 8-18 last year despite having a decent ERA. So he had a bunch of tough losses, which I guess is the kind of thing that will happen when you lose 104 games. You'll find a way to lose them. Al Olmstead, we saw that just was given a major league contract. Came out of arbitration. Hey, he's won 10 games 4 years in a row. So that's something. Never has struck out over 100 batters. That is so weird. Wow. Okay. I mean, it's not like he hasn't had an opportunity. And then Mike Lacoste had his first year as a starter every 5 days, and that was with the Cardinals. Last year, he went 9-15 with a 5+ ERA, more walks than strikeouts. That's a problem. So yeah, this is a rotation that does not get me excited at all. We'll take a look here at their bullpen and then determine whether or not they've got any pitchers that they can hope for in the future. Their closer is a rookie, as Todd Worrell was in real life, winning the Rookie of the Year, I believe, his rookie season. So he had 11 out of 12 saves and was pretty much lights out. He's their closer. Gibson Alba, a pitcher that I've never even heard of before, but you can see that he's not only got got into a lot of games in relief, but he has been lights out. A career 2.16 ERA, and he has been a closer for them before. So they are passing the torch for some reason. Here's Jeff Keener, rookie last year, got into a ton of games. He was very good. It looks like he's a sidearm pitcher by the baseball card there. Here's Jeff Lottie. He was just re-signed for a couple-year deal and had back-to-back poor years. Pat Perry, good year last year. And Ralph Citarella, basically long relief, only been into a couple of games since we started the sim. So let's go ahead and take a look at their minor league system here. Now in AAA, I mean, they have John Stuper. Oh, he's never actually made it to the majors yet. All right. Well, you see what the pitchers have done last year. Nobody here other than John Stuper, who's got a decent rating in AAA. AA, Greg Matthews pitched 93 innings last year. That's 15 starts. So I think the game must consider him the first from the minor leagues if someone gets injured. He was bad. Todd Burns has a good rating. Eric Plunk has a good rating in Double A. There's Dibbs, Rob Dibble. And that does it for Double A. And then do they have anybody that they've drafted recently that's going to give them a shot? Well, they have John Wetland. We're not going to talk about his personal problems. But in our game, as a rating, he's pretty good. And Mark Guthrie, a left-hander's got good ratings. Dwayne Ward was a closer for the Blue Jays for quite a while. Oh, and Jose Rio, there's a guy who did make one start last year, right? And he's only 19 years old, and he was in the majors. Look at that. He's got a Yankees baseball card from 1985. So get that guy to the majors. He's a 74, though. And it's got a little while before he gets above Jimmy Jones. So the game probably won't promote him until that 74 becomes a 77 or higher. So, I mean, they have really very little hope in AAA and AA. Single A, they've got a few guys that could make the roster. It looks like they're stuck with what they have. Their bullpen is pretty good, considering the rotation is not good at all. I mean, this is a last place team in a pretty tough division. So as we get ready to look at Montreal, I think we have to consider, can they at least get over Montreal? And Montreal, we know from looking at the American League previews that we've done, Montreal lost a couple starters that went on to other teams. So we're going to look at them momentarily. Let's go ahead and select to Montreal. We'll try to do this a little bit quicker than what we've had with the American League. Those videos have gone an hour and a half, and we have less teams here in the division, so that'll help. Now, fortunately, Montreal in the offseason re-signed Bill Gullickson and Mike Moore, who are their starters. They have Bob James, Tom Gorman, Wallace Johnson, Dave Campbell, Elias Sosa, and they had two retirements. Art Gardner, there he is, has not played since our first sim year, so goodbye to him. And also Larry Parrish, future Tiger manager. He got a ton of at-bats in 1980 and was reasonably good, and that was it. He was done. So he is gone. And then they signed, I believe from California, John Harris, to play first base, a 3-year, $1 million deal. So we'll look at him as we switch over. Oh, that was Montreal, my bad. Okay, let's take a look at this lineup. Okay, wow. Look at how little home runs they have in their regular everyday lineup. Montreal Expos, Olympic Stadium. Oh my gosh. 53% less likely to hit a home run from a left-hander, only 11% less likely to hit a home run from a right-hander. So if you're a left-hander, Brady Anderson, Greg Gross, and John Harris, newly acquired, not a chance. And then everybody else is a switch hitter, which means they're lefties as well. That's why they are going to struggle. Let's take a look at this. Okay, here's Brady Anderson. Him's still a little guy. He is 21 years old and got called up, I guess, late in the season to take over in center field. Not good defensively, not really good anywhere else other than maybe taking a walk. He has good speed. Batting second is a career pinch hitter, Greg Gross, but he's an everyday player in this sim. Did not have a home run last year, despite getting nearly 500 at-bats. The right fielder is a free agent at the end of the year. He batted well. Then John Harris. Here's a guy who had 30 home runs, 106 RBI for the Angels, and then lost his job. Did not play in '84 in the majors. He had 14 total home runs combined between AA and AAA last year. And then the Expos have signed him to play first. And, he's got a little bit of power. He's got good gap power for doubles. So that has to be an improvement despite not playing last year. Dave Cochran is the third baseman. Again, another rookie trying to make things happen. Rock Raines will get the start in left field. At this point of Rock Raines' career, he was actually, already like an established major league, soon-to-be Hall of Famer, and this game does not respect him. He's only got a 78 rating and an 88 speed. But this will be the first year that he makes the starting lineup out of spring training. So, that's got to be an upgrade in theory. Manny Lee, as a all-out rookie, never played in the majors, will now be the shortstop. And Rick Sweet will be the catcher after 1 year with them. Also, no home runs last year. Batted .237. That's not great. Brian Little, the second baseman, got 500 at-bats. He did have 6 home runs. Good for him. And he's their everyday second baseman. Okay, we'll take a look here at their bench. Scott Jordan hit 11 home runs for them, but only batted .195. Center fielder, so he lost his job. Steve Ontiveros, third baseman, had 1 less home run than Dave Cochran. There's the backup catcher, Tom Weigas. Terrible rating. John Fishel, Tim Wallach, who had a great career, but not in this game. Not respected at 68 rating. And Wallace Johnson, another guy that could play first. Okay, we'll take a look here at the AAA. Again, a bunch of 70s, some 60s. None of these guys you want on your roster, but there they are. AA, come on. AA, nothing. Like, these are all people that should be out of the ball game. Now, Russ Mormon won the Rookie of the Year 2 years ago, right? And he pulled a Super Joe Charbonneau. After the second year, they put him right back in the minors. He wasn't even in the majors until 1987 in real life, so he's way ahead of schedule. But he's already been demoted to AA. Maybe we'll see him. He had 12 home runs, which I guess led the team. Then we look at the single A ball. There's David Justice. Get him up there, man. He's was he a left fielder? Right fielder? Right fielder. Defensively, not great. Oh, he's only 18 years old. And he would have to knock out Greg Gross, which seems impossible. Then they got Tom Lampkin as a catcher who's decent. Jeff Hamilton, a good utility guy, third baseman in this game. Jerome Walton is good. There's a couple of... this guy named Bo Allard has a 90. I don't know about that. Sean Berry, Victor Rosario. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 guys in single A that will peak at over 80. So that's something. And they'll be drafting very early in the draft this year, too. So offensively, this team is terrible. And this probably should be the last place team. I don't know if it's the pitchers that have kept them out of the cellar or not, but this is I don't even know if they're going to get double-digit home runs. You got Rock Raines batting 5th in the lineup. That can't be good. Let's look at the pitchers. Oh, my goodness. All right. Wow, this is really bad. Okay, well, Bill Gullickson, great. Look at that. 10 and 10 is fine, but a 2.39 ERA, that is what you want from an ace. I don't think there's going to be enough offense to give him a chance to win more than 10 games. But at least he can do it. Mike Moore was just re-signed. He's got an 86 rating. And he looks pretty solid. Then Rick Engel made 18 starts last year and did a pretty good job. He did walk more than he struck out, but in this game, that's not always a liability. If that was real life, he would never be in baseball. He'd just be cut. Greg Bargar, 8 starts last year. He did okay. This will be his first year. making the team out of spring training. Not a great overall rating, but I guess he's better than nothing. And then your fifth starter is nothing. It's Rick Ramos. He doesn't have a photo. He's got a 66 rating. I mean, hey, he's been great in the minor leagues. Not only just in our sim, but before, too. So that'll be fun to see if he gets a chance to, pitch every 5 days. He might not get a chance. That's a team that could really use a trade. Let's look at the bullpen, starting with the closer, which is Bob James. He saved 30 games last year with a sub-3 ERA. Only ever played for Montreal. And there's his 1985 Montreal baseball card. Then we got Jeff Parrott in the 85 Fleer card. Put up a reasonable year. Dan Quisenberry, Quiz, had a somewhat off year. This guy's been on 3 teams. Dan Quisenberry, probably only ever known as being a Kansas City Royal, but he's been on Baltimore and Montreal now. In our sim, here's Tom Gorman. A great year from him last year. He only walked 15 batters. In real life, he was on the Mets in 85. There's Tim Burke, another former closer, looking solid in the 85 Fleer. And Joe Hesketh is their long reliever. I mean, this is great. Other than not having a number 5 starter, there's nothing to complain about. This bullpen is solid. And the ERAs for their first 4 guys, even though Engel and Bargar didn't pitch a full season, and Ramos has never pitched in the majors, pretty good. I mean, their pitchers are better than their hitters. And I guess if you pitch in a stadium where nobody ever hits home runs, that's going to help you too. How many home runs were hit against Gullickson last year? 11. And what about Mike Moore? 19. So both were under 20. Yeah, I mean, this is a team that I could see easily going into last place, but that pitching staff might be better than St. Louis is, but they're not going to be any better than their 73 and 89 record from last year. So that's the number 5, the 5th place Montreal Expos. Next up is the Pittsburgh Pirates. Let's look at Pittsburgh. Their record was 82 and 80. And Pittsburgh, what did they do last year in the offseason? Not much. Tommy Sant retired. There he is. Last played in 83. And they got contract extensions for Rick Rhoden, a 4-year deal. Joe Sambito, lefty reliever. Doe Boyland, Larry Anderson, Dale Berra, Tim Foley. All got extensions. Vance Law lost his arbitration. Steve Nicosia won his arbitration. Dave Hilton retired. There's Dave Hilton. Last played in 83. So they didn't sign any free agents as far as we know. I guess we'll look in 85 just to see. No, but they did make a trade. So Pittsburgh traded Bob Melvin, a solid rookie season, to the Mets. Seems like a mistake. And in return, they got pitcher Eric Hansen, who's a single-A pitcher with a good potential rating, and Rob Ducey, not very good anywhere. So that's a bad deal. You give up a young Bob Melvin, 23 years old now. Well, I'm guessing Steve Nicosia must be their starting catcher. We'll find out. Let's take a look at this lineup. It is Steve Nicosia. Yeah, this is a team that's not good. Let's take a look at the lineup. Leadoff batting and playing center field is Rick Peters. This guy's been nothing but consistent. Took a little bit of a dip last year. Gets stolen bases, gets on base. Put up some good numbers in the final year of his contract. And then Ron Wotus is a shortstop. Okay, well, you got a little bit of a call. Well, these are all pinch hits, right? 45 games, 45 at bats. He didn't even get a start. And now he's a starting shortstop. Mike Greenwell, a batter I always really liked in real life, had his rookie year. So he's only 21. And batting cleanup is Mike Laga, former Detroit Tiger. He's got a lot of power. Just probably doesn't know how to really use it yet. But having him as a cleanup hitter, you could do worse. Jim Weaver. And let's see, Jim Weaver had a really good year as he batted only 216 last year, I guess. So not that great. I guess for a guy that you really never heard of before, choking up on the bat, that's maybe not what you want. Although he had a ton of stolen bases. And then there's Steve Nicosia in a Expos uniform. And yeah, he took the back seat to Bob Melvin, and now he's right back in there, looking like an everyday catcher. What's his arm? Yeah, his arm is not good. 78 rating. Vance Law, another Expo uniform, re-signed to, well, he lost his arbitration. And he batted 275 last year, 26 doubles, 11 home runs. I mean, career high in RBI, and he couldn't even get paid. And then Rich Renteria, rookie year, age 23, batting 302. How are these guys not leading off like this? Let's take a look here. And then here's the bench. There's a lot of familiar names. Marvell Wynn, Tony Pena, disrespected in this game, but at least he's on the roster. There's Dale Berra. Oh, Albert Bell is on the team. Left fielder, not great, with a 91 power. Can we give this guy some at-bats? Who's in left field? Oh, Mike Greenwell. That's tough. And he's one tick worse than Mike Greenwell. So Mike Greenwell's getting ready to lose his gerb. And Tim Foley re-signed. I don't hate that lineup. I love it even more when Albert Bell gets in there, though. We'll take a look here at the AAA team. Bill Madlock. Mad Dog can't get a job. All he does is bat 300. This would be a nice guy to have on the team. I mean, all he does is bat 310 career batting average. He did finish his career with Detroit in real life. I like him a lot. Game's not excited about it. And there's a couple other guys here, potential players. In Double-A, Mike Devereaux. Gene Larkin, it was quality. Louis Polonia, left fielder. And then we got Todd Zeal. Now in Single-A, we've got a bunch of good players here. We got Todd Zeal. He's already got a little bit of a call-up to play third. Vance Law probably wishes he hadn't had won that money after all, because he's going to be gone or in the minors. We go down the list here. Jeff King, a great second baseman in his time, underrated. There's catcher Joe Girardi. Greg Vaughn with a lot of pop. Another left fielder, though. How's he going to get around Albert Bell? Matt Stark, George Canali, Rodriguez, and Rob Ducey. I mean, these are all high-rated players, so they must put a lot of money, have that relegated to their minor league system, which is good. That's what you should do. Smart play, and got to give them a lot of credit for that. I like this offense. I definitely like it better when they find room for Albert Bell or Greg Vaughn, bring up another catcher. This is a solid team. This is why I like looking at the National League teams, because we're not going to see these teams all year until we make it to the World Series. That's really the only time you ever see it. And now you get to see the names and the ratings in case you need to make a trade. Jose De Leon, a tough year last year. 7-16 with a 4.10 ERA. But a 92 rating at age 24. So this guy who goes to arbitration at the end of the year is going to get paid big money even if he doesn't perform well. Number 2 in the rotation is Dan Warthen, now a pitching coach somewhere. I don't know how or why, but this guy gets regular starts in our sim, and even had an 18-win season, still winning 13 games when I don't even know who you are. Got to give you credit for that. And a sub-4 ERA. Then Pascual Perez is the number 3 starter. He was 13 and 18 with a 3.14 ERA. It's kind of amazing. After losing 20 games in 1982. Yeah, they were a 100-loss team, and now they're over 500 at 82 and 80. So this team is making some right decisions, and they have a lot of good pitchers here. They made the right decision in re-signing Rick Rhoden. He won 16 games, a career high last year, and a sub-4 ERA. And Alfonso Pulido will be their number 5 starter, and he's not horrible, although he didn't really pitch well. His ratings aren't bad enough for me to dismiss him entirely. Let's see who the closer is. It's Scott Medvin. Been with the Pirates ever since we started the sim. And for a year and a half, he's been the closer. He had 30 saves last year in 61 and 2/3 innings. Pitched well. Ray Krawczyk, as a rookie, is the setup guy. He was all right. There's Joe Sambito, closer for the Astros, in 82 in our sim. He's a left-handed setup dude. Michael Jackson, he has got, he's only 20 years old here, and a 184 ERA. So, I mean, I'm not sure what to expect from him, but that's a pretty good start. Jim Wynn, that's a great last name for a pitcher. A 3 ERA. I mean, this bullpen is untouchable. And Lee Tunnell, only got into 1 game. He was big into that cocaine with these Pirates in that era. And now we'll take a look at the minor league system. This is a pretty good lineup. I like all their starters. Don't know about this Pulido guy, and all their bullpen is impressive. So that's how they got to 81 plus wins, you know. Okay, we'll take a look at the minor league system. Here's the AAA team. Mike Bielecki is a great 5th option. Probably should be in there over Pulido. Maybe because Pulido's a lefty, that might be the advantage. I don't know. And then Chris Green. How many teams do we see with 80-plus pitchers at the AAA level? Not too many. So there's 2 right there. They got Bob Long. He had a great year. Rod Scurry's doing coke on the bench. We'll take a look at AA. Another one over 80. Over 80. Dennis Powell could get over 80. So this is a pretty good looking minor league system. Oh, they got 2 pitchers who are injured. Tim Lawler will be ready by opening day, or around there. But with his low rating, I don't think he'll be in the majors. He probably will be in AAA. And Dorn Taylor is going to miss the first 3 months, really. He's a starter and reliever. Okay, I'm sorry. We'll take a look here at the single A. Eric Hansen, awesome. Rick Reed, awesome. Kamenecki, Al Osuna, Charlie Kerfeld. I mean, these are all pretty good. Gil Heredia has a good rating. Steve Reed, 87. And Heathcliff Slocum with an 82. So, I mean, this is a solid pitching staff with some really great options in the minor leagues. You don't see a lot of teams with this depth. Maybe just our team, the Tigers. That's the only team that I've seen I could think of where you actually have some real options in AAA in case someone gets injured. So this is definitely a better than 500 team. I don't know if they'll jump above the Phils, but let's look at the Fightins. Select Philadelphia. And what did they do after the World Series was over? They gave Tom Barrett a second baseman extension, and then they also gave another second baseman an extension. That's just stupid. That's a dumb move. Lonnie Smith, of course, you give him all the money he wants. Bob Dernier, pretty good. Roger Erickson, John Verhoeven are pretty much dumb, I believe. So was Dan Larson. Larry Boa hanging on. And then they signed a free agent. Holy smokes. They signed J.R. Richard, one of the best pitchers in our sim. He went to free agency, and they signed him for 4 years for nearly $3 million. Wow. I cannot wait to see what that rotation looks like. Let's go ahead and look at their lineup first. Oh, yeah. Jeez. I forgot. God, this game blows. Barry Bonds is their starting left fielder, and they've given him no power. And all I can think of is that this is the programming punishing Barry Bonds for steroid use. Because a lot of the big-time hitters in this game who were part of the steroid era do have diminished power numbers, but that's as low as you can go, I believe. And his eye is a 99, so he's got the eye of the tiger. He did walk 84 times in his rookie year, but he did not hit any home runs. That's so dumb. But I'd rather have him in the game than not in the game. And he does have a peak of 96, so I don't know what'll happen to him. This is his rookie baseball card, this 85 Topps. 85 Fleer. It was in the Fleer update set. Batting second is Warren Newson, another rookie. He's in right field. And then Mike Lavalier, the catcher, had a great year. Put up some big numbers for the Phils. Greg Jelks is their cleanup hitter with a 90 power. Had 2 home runs. This will be his first full year at age 23 in the majors. Wait, he played third base. Interesting. Then Darrell Boston is your center fielder. He'll get his first full year. Ryan Sandberg, another player disrespected, but at least he's in the lineup, unlike some others. He had 18 home runs last year for the Phils. Tom Barrett. Wait, what? How are both of these guys in the lineup? Oh, Ryan Sandberg is playing first base, which he definitely can do. That is okay. I'm fine. That's why they signed them both. That makes sense. Tom Barrett, the regular second baseman, I guess, had an okay season. And there's Steve Jeltz, your shortstop, who, none of these guys have great slugging percentages. Kind of sad when you look at it. And then you go, okay, here's Kirby Puckett. Kirby Puckett has an 85 rating, and he cannot make the majors. He's played, in every season. He'll get some at-bats. He's only 24 years old, and a 97 rating in center field, can play anywhere in the outfield. And they're not even giving him any starting at-bats. That is lame. The backup catcher is Ozzie Virgil. Steve Staniszek. Was he a starter at one point? Not really. Lonnie Smith can't break the lineup, batting .317. Julio Franco can't beat the lineup, batting .358. He's a shortstop. You're telling me Steve Jelks is a better option than Julio Franco? That's got to be a platoon. God, that's so annoying. And then you got another outfielder, John Poff. Your only left-handed bat on the bench. That doesn't make any sense. Bob Dernier batted over 300. He's in AAA. Unbelievable. And there's Gary Ward. He's definitely on the decline. He batted over 300. We'll take a look here at Double A. I mean, they've still got nothing. I mean, they've got some real nothings here. Larry Bow has got a 58 rating. Why not just retire the guy? I'm sure by the end of the year he will be retired. Okay, they got Mark McLemore to play second, but they've already got 2 second basemen. So that makes no sense. That's a tradable commodity. Dwight Smith. And then we look at single A ball. Gary Thurman. Ron Gant with a 91 future rating. And some other names that maybe you do or don't remember, but nonetheless, they have good ratings. Terry Jorgensen got a bunch of at-bats at third. That's him right there. Oh, he's only 18 years old now. I don't know what to think about this lineup because, I mean, you see a lot of big names in there. I mean, they have Bonds, Sandberg, Puckett, Lonnie Smith, Julio Franco, and yet their lineup doesn't reflect those names. So this has got to be, let's take a look at their versus lefties. Yeah, that's what they're doing. They're platooning. So there's Franco getting in there. There's Kirby. Stanisic will play first versus lefties, and Ryan Sandberg goes over to second. Okay, well, I like the ingenuity there, right? Can't argue with that. Let's look at the pitchers. Philadelphia was 85 and 77 last year, if you don't remember that from the title card. And here is their rotation. Their ace, so-called, is Scott Munninghoff. And he did not have a particularly good year last year. He walked more than he struck out. In fact, he's always walked more than he struck out. Our first year in the sim, he walked 92 and struck out 25. Wow. And that'll get you 23 starts and a 6.5 ERA. But now he's had one very good year. And he's had one average year. So he's got an 87 rating, so I guess that's how you get to be the ace. Tony Gelfi, his first full year, went 13 and 8. Solid. And then there's our J.R. Richard. He's down to an 82 rating, and they're paying him big bucks for 3 more seasons after this year. And he's coming off a 14 and 12 season with a 3 ERA. He had a 2 ERA, 2.69, 2.81, 2.34 in our sim. So, I mean, this is a guy that is incredibly good, including in the playoffs. You'll see the 2-time World Series playoff series is there. So, I mean, that's a really great get off the free agent market if he can keep his rating up. Once it dips down, he's going to be just a regular guy like Larry Christensen, who's also an 82. He's putting up a 12-9 record. He had 180 innings pitched and did not walk very many, so good for him. That's a nice guy to have in your lineup at your number 4 starter. And Bob Walk, a terrible last name for a pitcher. But at least he's capable. He's got a 74 rating, and you'll see every year he finds a way to get onto the team, even with a low rating. So maybe that's not the best. We'll see if they have any injuries, but their closer is Dave Shipinoff. Looks like he's been their closer for about 3 seasons. He had his best year last year with a 2.60 ERA and 32 saves. Todd Niedenfuer, good setup man, great ERA. Jay Baller, great last name. Yeah, I mean, a 1.64 ERA and a opponent's batting average under 200. Come on, as a rookie. There's Jerry Reed, pitched every year for the Phils, and still putting up great numbers. Mark Davis, one-time Cy Young and MVP award winner for the Giants, is just getting his first opportunity as a left-hander in the bullpen. And Danny Clay, he was not good last year. but he'll be their long reliever, it looks like. Yep. Okay, now we've got the AAA system, and they've got some options. They have Roger Erickson, Bill Paschal, and Dick Ruthven, all guys that have the same or better, in Erickson's case, rating than Bob Walk. So those four guys are interchangeable. And then we have here Carlos Arroyo. Well, who's this? I don't know this guy, but he's got an 83 rating. That's the thing, is he can't start and he can't really go one inning. He's a long reliever. But a long reliever with a good rating. Okay, and then we've got a bunch of names that are schlubs in AAA. AA, they're schlubbing it up. There's Manny Hernandez with an 87 rating. He did get 23 innings last year. Mike Maddox, the other Maddox, the older Maddox brother, has a great rating. He deserves a chance. Sid Fernandez could be a starter, but he might be already kind of passed over. And then we'll look at the single A guys. There are no injuries on this team. Jack Armstrong looks great, and they gave him a chance. He made 3 starts at the end of the year as an 18-year-old. There's Mike Fetters as Greg Swindell. Greg McMichael, Woody Williams. You know, so they have, I mean, this is a team that looks ready to win, and they have backup. They have very deep, reliable backup players. I mean, a team that finished 85 and 77. I don't think they're going to be able to get past the Cubs, because I know they have an all-offensive team, and we know that the Wrigley Field is a launching pad. And then the Mets have a 96 and 66 record. They won the World Series. So, I mean, I guess all they could do is go down. But, I mean, the Phils probably are a third-place team, and if they get lucky, they might be able to move along into second place. Let's look at the Cubbies. Cubbies, what did they do this offseason? They did a lot. Lee Smith led the National League in saves. They signed contracts for Scott Fletcher, Dan Roan, Mike Krukow, Willie Hernandez, Pat Tabler, Ed Putman, Scott Thompson, Tim Blackwell, Bob Myrick, Tom Chisholm, Carlos Lascano, Lenny Randall. One arbitration versus Doug Capilla and Keith Drumright, and Ken Phelps lost, and Steve Luber lost. They had the MVP, they had a Gold Glove winner at shortstop, and they had the Rookie of the Year in Billy Hatcher. That's what you'll get when you play in Wrigley Field. And then they went out and they signed knuckleballer Tom Candiotti, and I have more to say about him when we get to him. So the 90 and 72 Cubs, as we look at 85, yeah, this game does not respect that. Okay, we'll take a look at the Cubbies here. Here is their lineup, and you could only expect more home runs from this team, I would think. Looks like, let's go back to the righty lineup. There we go. That's your lineup versus righties. Dan Roan. Looks like a long-time second baseman for them. Even managed to hit multi-home runs last year. At second, leading off, just Jay Buhner as a right fielder, 20 years old. He doesn't have the power yet. He's only hit 1 last year. And there's your MVP, Billy Hatcher. No, this is your Rookie of the Year. I'm sorry. Right? Yes, this is your Rookie of the Year. 100 RBI, 25 home runs, 38 stolen bases, batted .315. That's good enough, I think, to win Rookie of the Year. There's his rookie card for the Cubbies. Cal Daniels, that is your MVP. Also a rookie, but not until 86. A rated rookie, I should say. Scored over 100 runs, 91 RBI, 39 stolen bases, and batted 301. That is a serious slugger. Their catcher is Darryl Porter. He's been with them for a couple of years now. On the decline, maybe the drugs are finally catching up to that guy. He was on the Cardinals in '85. Pat Tabler is your first baseman. He got over 500 at bats last year, batted 301. Scott Fletcher, shown on the White Sox, but he was on the Cubbies in our sim, and batted 290 last year. Lenny Randall's going to be their third baseman. He's got a 60 rating and a 72 defensive rating at third, but maybe this is the only option they have. I'm going to be very curious to see what he does with a 60 rating. And then Carmelo Martinez will be their left fielder as a rookie getting his first shot. Oh, I apologize. He's a bench guy. They do have Sam Horn, who could play first. He's got an 88 rating and is being beaten out by Pat Tabler. Come on. Steve Macco, Tom Prince, Henry Cotto, Jesus Alfaro. We look in AAA. Jim Bestwick played quite a bit last year. Now he's in AAA. A lot of AAA names here. AA, also nothing to get excited about. Scooching on down. What do they have in single A? They've got Keith Lockhart with an 87. Doug DeCenzo. Glenn Davis is toast. Terry Steinbach is toast. Joe Carter is toast. That just makes me mad. And yet John Vanderwall is a god. And Glenn Gulliver, oh, that's the third baseman, right? Yeah, he's injured, but he'll be ready by opening day. So we don't need to get too excited about Lenny Randall getting the opening day start. That's not going to happen. Glenn Gulliver will slip right in there and continue to do good work. So, okay, that makes sense. I mean, how could anybody beat a team with the Rookie of the Year and the MVP with Jay Buhner in right? I mean, that's pretty incredible. Let's take a look at their pitching staff and see if it matches up. I know it does. I know what's coming here. Look at this staff. Krukow got kicked out when they signed Candiotti. All right. Here's Steve Engel, technically their ace, with a 92 overall rating. He's won 19 and 18 games back-to-back and improved his ERA by over half a run. And that's his 1986 rookie card. So he's ahead of the schedule as far as playing at actual baseball. But, yeah, he's with a 92 rating, that's pretty dynamite. And then look at this. Tom Candiotti did not pitch very well at all for Milwaukee. He gets injured a lot. But here's the story with Candiotti, and you may remember this. Candiotti did not learn the knuckleball until the offseason prior to this year. And so I added his knuckleball as his main best pitch, rated it a 90. So he's got the knuckleball that's a 90 and the secondary pitch, the curveball, which is an 87. So those are two elite pitches. I don't think it manipulated his overall rating much. It's an 87. I don't remember what it was last year. Oh, we can look at his skills. Yeah, I mean, they still diminished despite me giving him an elite level pitch. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know what to expect from him, but I'm sure he's going to do better than 4-11 like he did with a terrible Milwaukee team. Well, it'll be interesting to see what happens. I'm looking forward to seeing if what I did for him will help him out or not. And then look at this. The number 3 pitcher on the Cubs is rockin' Roger Clemens. He went 16-10 in his first real good year. He's only 21 years old. He was a rookie in the '85 season. So you'll see here This is his first good year in 84, and he's already pitched 800. Well, he's made 120 starts before we even got to his rookie year in real life. The game doesn't really give him a lot of respect when it comes to the overall ratings, but he did get over 200 strikeouts last year. He's still walking a ton, and maybe the game will straighten it out. I mean, we'll have to watch. But with Engel, Candiotti, and Clemens, that is top-notch. And then Don Henkel, former Tiger, we traded over here. He went 9-12 last year. Still kind of figuring it out, but had a great ERA. And their number 5 starter is going to be Mike Flanagan. Pulled off the scrap heap, going 14-13 last year, with a 4.79 ERA and 221 innings eaten. So that's pretty solid. And he had one of his better strikeout years as well. So there's your rotation for the Cubs. I think that's pretty damn good, right? And then you have your saves leader, Lee Smith, with 39. He's kind of just getting started in this game as a closer. Can't go wrong there. Another former closer, Bill Caudill, putting up good numbers on the Blue Jays in real life. There's someone named Bill Johnson. We don't know who that is, but he's good. An 89 and a 90. Come on, I don't even know who that is. Mike Capel, also a good season last year. And Mark Brown played a little bit for Baltimore. Now he's on the Cubbies, putting up decent numbers. And Julio Solano, he had a terrible 3-game stint with the Cubs, and then has a 12.60 ERA. That's not good. Okay, we'll take a look here at the minor league system for the Cubbies. Mike Krukow, will be the first one called up if there's an injury. Willie can't even make the lineup despite having a good season. There's Luber. They have just a bunch of fill-ins here. I mean, I don't think that about Willie Hernandez, but or Krukow. I mean, these are people who can really actually do something, but we're not going to see it probably. In Double-A, Storm Davis, very good number ratings, 84 and 85. Should be in there right now. Why is he not even in Triple-A? I don't know. Mike Schooler got a little bit of a call-up. Jeremy Gonzalez. And if you look at Single-A, they got Doc Gooden. Oh, my gosh. Not very well respected either with an 83 rating. Kevin Brown, all-star pitcher. Dennis Springer, another knuckleballer, right? Yeah, he's a knuckleballer. And Anthony Young, Larry Kasian. This team is loaded. This is a team that's going to maybe win the division, depending on how things go for the Mets. But they're stacked offensively in a stadium that's going to pound the runs, and they got pitchers to keep the runs off the board. So, yeah, this will be a team to watch. I think they could win the division. We'll see what the Mets did in the offseason, and that'll probably determine a lot. The New York Metropolitans, this is the last team. We'll come back to that. This is the last team. They were 96 and 66, and they won the World Series. As you can see, here's all the players who won World Series rings. All right. They ended up re-signing Dan Gladden, Mike Hart, Pete Falcone, Terry Leach, Randy McGilvery, Jose Moreno, Kevin Coble, Tom Dixon, Tom Hausman, Gene Flores, Joe Zadeb, Craig Reynolds, Phil Mankowski, Ron Hodges, Pat Zachary lost arbitration, and Johnny Lemaster won arbitration. So no free agents there, but then they did make a trade, which you may have just seen. They got Bob Melvin to be their catcher, and they gave up a couple guys that don't really much matter to them. So Bob Melvin will probably be their everyday catcher, and that's got to help because considering he had a good rookie a year. Let's take a look at their lineup. Let's look at Shea Stadium here. Let me tell you what that's all about. Left-handers have a 24% better chance of hitting a home run, and right-handers are 15% less likely to hit a home run. So left-handers rule in this lineup. Ricky Henderson, as you might expect, is their leadoff hitter, playing left field. Finally had a good stolen base season. He had 75 for the Mets. There's Herm Winningham, was a rookie last year. 27 doubles, 10 triples, 9 home runs. He almost had a triple-double. 1 home run shy. Then we got Wally Backman at second base. There's Bob Melvin. They put him right in the cleanup role with 92 power. I mean, Bob Melvin didn't have that kind of power in real life, but the game doesn't know that. John Christensen is the everyday right fielder. Gerald Perry's their first baseman. He got traded over there last year and took over the job, did okay. Scotty Madison is their third baseman. This will be his first full year at third base for the Mets. And Ross Jones will be their shortstop. Last year was his first full year for the Mets. And Edgar Martinez is on the bench. Could play third base if they needed him to. And then they have Ron Hodges as the backup catcher. Alex Trevino, they got 3 catchers on the roster. Bill Ullman, middle infielder. Terry Blocker and Jose Moreno as extras. Looking at their AAA team, I mean, they have Mike Hart rated in 81. And Danny Gladden, they just re-signed to play left field, is in AAA to start the year. Otherwise, a bunch of schlubby. Well, not Danny Goodwin. Danny Goodwin actually won the MVP our first year, right? I believe he was an MVP for the Twins. Yeah, he did win in 80. Was an all-star in 81. He's won 2 World Series rings. So there you go. But he's in AAA. At AA, Ty Van Berkeley's got a good rating, and he did get a call-up last year. Nothing but schlubs. And then we look at single-A players. Tim McIntosh, a catcher with a 90. Eddie Tucker, a catcher with an 83, and Angel Escobar. They actually, I mean, this is a team that's done nothing but win in our sim, so they've always had low draft picks. And you can see it here. They don't have any single-A or double-A players that you can get excited about. They kind of have an overweighted AAA roster of players that can fill in, which I guess it's not really all that bad, I suppose. But this is a team prime for another run at the World Series, and especially left-handers in this lineup are going to do pretty well. Let's look at the pitching staff. They have not slipped a bit. Look at Ron Darling. He is now their staff ace at age 24, 11-11 with a 2.69 ERA and a 95 overall rating. Pretty impressive. Rick Ownby, all this guy does is win, win, win. 3 consecutive 20-win seasons and a sub-2 ERA. He was a Cy Young winner in 82. He did not win it last year. That's right, it was Tim Belcher for the Dodgers in our sim. We'll see them when we get to the West. But Rick Ownby, a guy you probably don't even know who that was. I mean, I barely remember the name. John Fulgham came over to the Mets last year, won 15 games, helped them get a ring. Bill Latham will be the number 4 starter now. A guy, again, you never heard of. He was on the Mets, actually, but a 92 rating? Really? A 1.64 ERA? Oh, my gosh, come on. And Walt Terrell, who was actually on the Tigers. He went 7-9 last year in 26 starts. But a reliable pitcher, and I always liked him when he was on the Tigers, so I'm a fan. Their closer is Jesse Orosco. That makes sense. Kind of been their closer for 3 years. Another great ERA, 138 on base percentage. Opponent's batting average under 200. Greg Harris, setup man, awesome. Has been awesome, always been awesome. Jeff Reardon, shows him on the Expos, but he's been all Mets. All awesome all the time. Also gets a lot of saves, his share. Dave Von Olin. If he were on the Indians, he probably would be the best pitcher on the team. Here's just another guy who does well. And Rick Aguilera, I mean, you can't even get this guy into the closer's role. And he's good. Oh my gosh, this team is amazing. And former Tiger Juan Berenguer. Here's a guy that didn't do well last year. Not a great ERA. And now we're looking at, this is their AAA team. They got All-Star Mike Scott, 13-9 last year. Sorry, you're the odd man out. And Craig Swan, another guy that could start, 83 and 82. They got Tim Leary with an 83. Didn't even play last year. They got Vukovic, who didn't even play last year. Roger McDowell can't get a job. Scott Holman, an 83 rating, so he's peaked and he can't get a job. Neil Allen, look at all these guys. There's Falcone, Terry Leach, Rick Anderson. I mean, that's bonkers, man. That is, anybody that goes down, there's somebody in that comes in, it could be actually better. In Double-A, here's where they hide their schlubs. There's nobody there to get excited about. And in Single-A, if they have anyone, they've probably traded away most of their players. There's Wes Gardner, Tom Edens, Danny Plesac, Mike Magnate. Yeah, they don't have any starters you can count on. Maybe Pete Smith. But everybody else that's here is a reliever, and they've traded away most of their starters or just called them up, I guess, in the case of Bill Latham. Why would you not? Holy smokes. I don't know how the Cubs are going to beat the Mets. The Cubs have a better offense, but the Mets pitching, like top to bottom, is amazing. I mean, how do they not win the division? I don't know. But that's a pretty special looking team there. You got to give them their props. Sheesh. We'll take one more look here at the standings and their ratings. What did the Mets do last year? They only batted .240, so they were not a good hitting team. Of course, the Cubbies had the second best batting average in the American League behind San Diego, who we'll check out tomorrow, and they had the second most home runs behind San Francisco, which we'll check out tomorrow. New York had all those stolen bases, thanks to Ricky Henderson, and a team ERA at 3. The Dodgers team ERA was 2.44. Unbelievable. I can't wait to look at the National League West tomorrow. Okay, gang, that's going to do it. I really appreciate you sticking in there if you watched the whole video. I'm impressed. I hope you enjoyed it. And we're going to get this uploaded tonight. And tomorrow we're going to come back and do the National League West and take a look at those teams. So until tomorrow, everyone, have a great day.